Please don't go. Stay here, we'll make our own world, our love life.
I'm too big to breed with a human, but he didn't let go. The first time Ethan saw her, he thought she was a mountain come alive. She stood at the edge of the twilight cliffs of Nareen, her skin shimmering like molten silver in the dusk light. The wind tangled through her hair, thick strands of violet that cascaded down her back like flowing rivers of light. Her eyes were enormous, the color of lilac mist, and they seemed to see right through him. Ethan had traveled far across the stars for work, taking small jobs wherever he could, repairing irrigation systems, helping colonies grow food, sometimes guiding alien merchants through human settlements. When he arrived at Nareen, a village carved into glowing cliffs and floating terraces, he didn't expect to find her. Her name was Aelara, and she belonged to the Velyri, a towering species that lived in harmony with the cliffs. They were a gentle race, artists, farmers, singers of wind, but they were fading. Their births had become rare, their songs quieter. Ethan came offering help. His skills with machinery, his easy laugh, his willingness to learn. But from the first day, Aelara seemed distant, curious but reserved. And then one evening she told him why. The secret of the Velyri. They sat together beneath a tree whose leaves shimmered like glass. Ethan had just finished fixing a broken water conduit. His hands were dirty, but his heart felt clean, lightened by her presence. "You work hard, little one," Aelara said softly, her voice a low hum that made the air vibrate. He laughed. "Someone has to keep your village from drying up." Aelara smiled, though there was sadness behind it. "Your spirit is kind. It reminds me of the songs we used to sing when the stars were new." Ethan looked up at her. She was easily twice his height, her body built from strength and grace. Her kind eyes studied him like he was something fragile. "What happened to your songs?" he asked. Her smile faltered. "They were for our young, for those yet to be born. But the Velyri do not bring life easily anymore. Our people grow fewer every year." There was silence. The wind carried faint music from the village below. "And that's why you asked for human help?" Then guessed. She nodded slowly. "Yes. The elders sought your species. Adaptable, fertile, resilient. We hoped you could bring new life where ours failed." Ethan's heart thudded. "You mean?" "Yes," she whispered. "The purpose of your stay here was to help us repopulate. To a line between hearts." 4 days after, Ethan didn't know how to face her. He'd come thinking he was fixing machines, not lives. The idea that he might be chosen to help her people continue felt overwhelming and strangely intimate. But what unsettled him most wasn't the request. It was Aelara herself. He found himself thinking about her voice when she sang, the way her laughter echoed through the terraces, the softness in her eyes whenever she looked at him. Yet there was also distance. Aelara avoided him after that talk. She spent her days tending the sky gardens or sitting by the glowing river, staring at her reflection as though searching for something lost. Finally, one night, he found her again under the crystal tree. "You've been avoiding me," he said. Her eyes lowered. "I wished to spare you discomfort." "You didn't." He took a hesitant step forward. "Aelara, I'm not afraid of what your people asked. I just want to understand you." Aelara looked down at him, this small, fragile human who stood beneath her like a spark beneath a storm. "Understand me," she repeated softly. "Ethan, I am not made for your kind. My body is too large, my form too different. Even if the elder's hope was true, it cannot be me. I am too big to breed with a human." Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. Not shame, not rejection, but something deeper. Maybe they were wrong, he said quietly. Maybe it's not about what we can do, it's about what we choose to feel. Her eyes softened, and a flicker of warmth passed between them. You speak like a poet, little one. He smiled. Maybe I just speak like someone who's learning to care. 3. The Garden of Light. Over the next few weeks they spent more time together, not as subjects of an experiment but as friends. Ethan helped her harvest glowing fruits that fed the Velyri young. She showed him how to carve wind crystals into instruments that sang with the breeze. They shared stories of home. He told her about Earth's oceans and rain, and she told him about the ancient time when the Velyri could call lightning with their songs. Every day they grew closer, and every night when he returned to his small stone dwelling, he thought of her. The way her eyes lingered on him when she thought he wasn't looking, the way her laughter felt like sunlight breaking through fog. One evening, after a storm, Ethan found her tending to a broken tree limb. Her enormous hands, delicate despite their size, were trembling. Aelara! She didn't turn. The roots are dying, she whispered. Like us. Ethan walked closer and placed his hand on the side of the tree, near hers. The difference was striking. His hand was barely the size of her finger. Then let's keep it alive, he said. She looked at him. Rain dripped down her silver skin like tears. You are small, and yet your heart is vast. He smiled faintly. Maybe it's trying to reach yours. Aelara's breath caught. She lowered herself, kneeling so her face was near his. Ethan, she said softly, you cannot mean what you feel. We are not meant for each other. My kind could crush yours without trying. But you haven't, he said, his voice trembling. You've only ever held me gently. She closed her eyes. A single tear, glowing faintly like starlight, fell down her cheek. If I held you any closer, I fear I would never let go. Then don't, he whispered. For when the heart decides. After that night, the village began whispering. The human and the giantess, the worker and the guardian, were seen together too often, speaking softly in the gardens, walking by the glowing rivers, laughing under alien moons. The elders called Aelara before them. You know our purpose, they told her. The human was brought here for renewal, not for affection. Aelara bowed her head. He brings more life to me than any experiment could. The elders were silent. They saw the sincerity in her voice, but they were bound by old rules. Meanwhile, Ethan learned from the healer that the Velyri's problem wasn't incompatibility. It was loneliness. The Velyri's hearts beat slower over centuries, dulled by grief and loss. Without love, their bodies simply stopped creating life. So he made a choice. He climbed to the highest terrace where Aelara sang each dusk, her voice echoing against the cliffs like the call of an ancient goddess. When she saw him, she froze. What are you doing here? Something foolish, he said, smiling. Something human. And then, before she could stop him, he climbed onto her palm, stood close to her face and said, You said you were too big to love me, but I don't care. Because I don't love your size, Aelara. I love you. Aelara trembled. Ethan. He reached up, touching her cheek where her skin shimmered like moonlight. Let me remind you what it feels like to be wanted. Not for what your people need, but for who you are. She closed her eyes, and her breath came softly, warm as spring wind. Then stay, she whispered. Stay with me. 5. The Song of Two Hearts. Days turned into weeks, and seasons shifted across the cliffs of Nareen. Where there had been silence, there was laughter. Where there had been sorrow, there was song. Aelara and Ethan became inseparable. They worked side by side, built new gardens together, and sang new songs that blended human melodies with Velyri harmonies. The villagers began to smile again. The elders watched quietly, realizing that perhaps this strange union was not an accident, but destiny. Then one morning, Aelara came to him with tears in her eyes. This time, tears of light and joy. "It's happening," she whispered, placing his hand against her chest. Beneath her skin, he could feel two heartbeats. One was hers. The other, faint, new, small. Ethan's breath caught. "Aelara, is it?" She nodded, smiling through her tears. "A spark of life. Ours." He couldn't speak. He just held her hand, his small fingers dwarfed by hers, and pressed it to his heart. Aelara bent down and kissed his forehead, her voice trembling as she said, "You didn't let go, even when I said it was impossible." "Because love doesn't know size," he whispered. "It just knows where it belongs." 6. The legacy of love. Years passed. The cliffs of Nareen glowed brighter each season, filled with the songs of new children. Half Velyri, half human, small yet strong, radiant with the light of both worlds. Aelara became a symbol of renewal, and Ethan, the human who refused to give up, was honored as one of their own. But for them, the true reward wasn't fame, it was peace. Each evening, they sat together under the same glass tree where they first spoke. The leaves shimmered softly above them, and the stars reflected in Aelara's eyes. "I still remember," Ethan said one night, resting against her hand. "You told me you were too big to be with me." She smiled, brushing a finger along his hair gently. "And you proved me wrong." He laughed quietly. "No. You proved that hearts don't measure love in size." Aelara leaned closer, her voice a whisper carried on the wind. "Then may our hearts keep singing until the stars grow old." And under the endless alien sky, they did. Two souls bound not by what was possible, but by what was meant to be. The end.